Gentlemen, great to see you. So over the years, I have been asked multiple times, tons of times, about the company Combat Gent and what my thoughts and opinions on the company are. And I've never really addressed it or said anything because Mama told me if you don't have anything nice to say, shh. But it has been brought to my attention by 3 people, GQ Magazine, Dappered, and my buddy Carl, who recently did a video. He has an image consulting firm and he also does YouTube videos. He did a piece recently about Combat Gent, and that's sort of where it really sort of came onto my radar. I will link to him down in the description if you guys are interested. He does some incredible reviews. He's a solid guy. Make sure to subscribe. Anyway, to give you a little backstory, Combat Gent stormed onto the men's style scene back in 2012 or 13. And I first heard about Combat Gent through an article that Men's Journal did talking about why the $160 suit makes sense. The company basically was a fashion tech company, is sort of what they were talking about. And they sort of were reinventing style and how clothing is made and how it's delivered to customers. As it would happen, they just don't. I'm kidding. And let me also say this, before I go any further. I don't care for the company, but more than anything, I don't care for the people that I interacted with when I actually worked with them. Because for those of you who've been around a super long time, back in 2014, this happened. Hello, I'm AaronMarino from AlphaM, and today I'm in Southern California and super excited to take you along as I go check out a hot new company that is changing the online style game, and in the process, saving you a ton of cash on sexy ass premium suits and men's style essentials. Hold up, before we go any further, I just would like to acknowledge that you just witnessed the inception or the creation of what would become the spin jump. Back to the story. Today, we're getting the story behind the brand, Combat Gent. We're at Combat Gent headquarters to sit down with CEO and founder Vishal Melwani to get a behind-the-scenes look at this cutting-edge fashion tech company.
What up?
Hey! What's
Thanks for coming by. I appreciate it, man.
Thanks for having me.
Welcome to the headquarters.
Show me around.
Yeah,
this
let's
is
do it.
awesome.
Let's do it.
So they hired me to come to California and actually do a video. And so Christian came, and it was the first time Christian and I sort of did anything really big. This was back in 2014. So we go and we get a tour, we meet the team, and it was awesome. It was so cool. The suits, they say that they sell suits that are made of 140, Super 140s. Yeah. And if you guys know anything about suits, this is not cheap stuff. You guys are killing it.
Yeah. So, you're wearing the suit right now, so you can kind of, you feel, you can touch, you can definitely understand that it's completely different from whatever else is in the market. And a lot of it has to do how we own our whole supply chain.
You're more than just a fashion company or a style company. Right. You guys have integrated technology into this. And so you guys are changing the game. How are you doing it?
Our back-end system knows how many suits we're selling, and then it correlates in an algorithm to tell us, hey, this is when you need to shave your sheep, right? It tells us the same thing for shirts, and it really lets us get down and dirty all the way to the grain is what we say.
You guys own the factories.
Yeah.
So you guys are producing all of the material that we're seeing. You guys are stitching it together. Yeah. You guys are cutting it. You guys are designing it.
Right.
Apparently, they were fibbing a little bit, according to Dapper, and also just feeling, you can tell that there's some sort of polyester going on in there. But Dappered, when they actually ordered a suit from them, there was this tag that said, wool poly blend, and it actually had another tag on it that was actually some weird it turns out that they really don't make their suits. Allegedly. Actually, not allegedly, because we're sitting there filming, Christian and I, and we're like, I see this big room of suits. I'm like, hey, can we go in there and me kind of walk through? And he's like, yeah, but hold on. We got to make sure that you don't see or capture the hangers, because the hangers were showing the factory that they get made. $160 for a suit that fits great, looks amazing. You can't beat it anywhere. Well, here's the deal. Combat Gent is about more than just suits. They're about the essentials. Oxfords, denim, chinos, ties. They've got it all. Which, big deal, right? Well, the big deal comes in the fact that they are selling themselves as this like fashion tech company. They own, that was the big thing, they own the whole supply chain.
Here's my favorite part. This is where we make all the production happen. So everything from the back end of the site, not the site, but the product. So, you know, when do we shave our sheep all the way to when do we sell it to a
Because
customer.
that's what, guys, you're not going to believe this, but they are so serious about sourcing, they actually own a flock of sheep. So I can't wait to find out more how you got started. So do you mind if we sit down?
Let's do it. Let's go to the showroom. Let's talk about it.
Well, apparently something in the technology got all effed up because the complaints have been rolling in about people ordering suits, ordering like whole like wedding party outfits and tuxedos, not getting them. Not only that, apparently, according to Dappered and I think GQ, their phone lines have been sort of their phone lines have been shut down. They had a physical location which they have closed. It's not looking good for old Combat Gent. And a lot of pissed off customers. A lot of people aren't getting their money back. A lot of people are claiming that they are ordering their suits, they're not getting their clothes, but they still have a website. And I think you can still order, which is really the reason why I'm doing this video. I kept my mouth shut about them for a really long time. But wait, I haven't told you the big why I don't really care for them. Well, so I do this video. It's great. I approached the agency that basically connected me with them and said, hey, because they had more than just suits. They had like bags and shirts and shoes, and they had like everything. And so I'm like, hey, would you guys be interested in sponsoring the AlphaM project? And it's going to require you guys to give us clothing, and we'll wear and show, and I will wear all of your clothing. It'll be awesome. I just need some help financially as well. And so they agreed to basically sponsor with clothing and money $40,000. And so $40,000 back in 2014, might as well have been $1 million for me. And so I was so excited that I was going to be able to do this. And so I signed an agreement that their agent gave to me, and it was basically agreeing to all the things I was agreeing to in order to have them sponsor what they're getting, basically. And so I send it back to him, and I say, hey, when am I going to get that countersigned? And he's like, oh, well, they're working this week, or they're not working this weekend, we'll get it to you next week. I said, well, you're sure they're going to do it? He goes, absolutely, no problem. And I said, well, because I want to announce this. He's like, go ahead. You've got the green light. Go do it. Announce it. It's good. It's locked. It's solid. I make the announcement, and then they basically, a few days later, I don't hear from them, and I'm pressing. I'm like, hey, what's going on? What's going on? I need to get this thing rolling and wrapped up, and I don't have a signed agreement yet. Turns out they decided that they didn't want to sponsor. And, you know, it's their prerogative, right? That's what you're thinking. Hey, it's their business. They decided not to. The thing and the issue that I have is that, A, they agreed, I signed, and then they sort of went back. Because it's not just them saying, hey, we don't want to do it. It's they tried to get me to do it for less. Like, well, we can't do it, but if you'll do it for this. And they just tried to, basically, I felt like they tried to screw me a little, and not only me, and the issue really arises because it wasn't me, it was you, it was the people that I told that I was going to be doing this, and I felt like I was going to let you down because I didn't have any other options in terms of financing these things. And so I ended up, you know, saying, you know, of course, no, like, go F yourself, like, I can't believe you did that. And I really felt like it was disgusting. I felt like it was super shady, and it was terrible business practice. And so I end up calling my sponsors that I've worked with before that believe in me, and I say, hey, I need you to do this. And at the time, you know, I didn't have many subscribers, you know, sales, I'm not sure if you're going to get any, but I need you to step up. And they did. And so there's been no looking back. But I did take the video down. I told the AI, I said, if they're not doing this, I'm taking the video down. And they're like, okay, you can. And the other thing that there are other things that just bothered me about them. Like their founder, Vishal, he was sort of like mocking the founder of Bonobos at one point. Bonobos is another, you know, clothing company, saying how, you know, he challenged him to this, like, in this panel, they were both going to be there, and he's like, oh, I'm a real tailor, bring your sewing machine, and he was sort of like mocking this guy, right, for not being a real tailor. And you know, as fate would have it, Bonobos sold to Walmart for $310 million, and you know, there are a ton of pissed off customers because, you know, Vishal, he's been interviewed and he said there was a bottleneck, there was a factory that shut down, he wasn't going to get it, and all these things. Well, I don't know what happened. I can assume that that their overhead just got super high, they couldn't live up, they grew, they scaled too fast, and whatever. I don't really care. All I care about at this point is you, and I want you to know that Combat Gent right now is having some issues. Hopefully for them and for you, they figure it out, but I don't know if they will, and so I just wanted to kind of do a little style public service announcement. I did it with Jack Threads, right? I love them. And I came to you and said, yo, they're having issues, and word on the street is they're back. Don't do it yet. Well, I can't say that. Do it if you want to, but I'm not sure. But apparently they're under new management, which is awesome. I'm excited. Hopefully Combat Gent can also get it together, because they were offering a decent product at a good price, and I know they served a niche in the market. But since they've sort of started, there have been a lot of players that have sort of come into the niche, so I think it's going to be challenging. Once you screw people out of money and clothing and I mean on your wedding day, can you imagine? Like, that's already stressful enough, and you're not getting your suits or tuxes. Yeah, like, I know they had money. I know that the clothing they were selling was super crazy profitable, like mind-blowing, right? Because at one point I'm doing this one scene where I'm walking all around their warehouse. Actually, let me show you. Ties? Oh yeah, Combat Gent's got you ties. 16 bucks, close to 100 different variations and styles. Smooth and sexy. So I grabbed this tie, I'm like, here, after I was done filming, I'm like, here, I'll put it back nice, and here you go. He goes, Aaron, you want it? I'm like, no, I don't want to take, you're already paying me. He's like, keep it. I'm like, are you sure? He's like, it cost us 27 cents. The suits, I also know what they paid for them, and they have super fat margins on them as well. Anyway, that's the Combat Gent story. That's the reason why I never talk about Combat Gent. That's the reason why I never promoted Combat Gent after that first time. It's also why none of the guys in my advertising agency, Menfluential Media, they wouldn't work with him either. I mean, Antonio was approached by him. They all were approached by him, but I told them, or Antonio knew my experience, and Antonio Centeno, my boy at Real Men Real Style, is one of the most solid dudes you'll ever want to meet. And he comes from the old school, mentality of if you screw me, if you tell me one thing, do it. Don't just, like, at the end of the day, it's money. If you can't do it, explain to me why you can't do it. Let's work something out. But then they just went about it so, it was shady. It was shady. They did me dirty. But I never talked about it. I never said anything. I didn't do some, like, I can't believe Combat Gent, because honestly, it's my issue. I wish them the best. I hope they get it together. I hope they figure it out. And I'm pulling for them, because at the end of the day, being an entrepreneur is not easy, and, it's hard, and hopefully their investors get made whole. They, I'm sure, raised millions of dollars, and there are a lot of people, who believed in them. And so for that reason alone, I hope they get it together. Guys, just wanted to do this video. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you like this type of, like, real, like, raw, is this raw? I don't know what the hell it is. It's me talking about it. What's raw is this t-shirt. Is it raw or wrong? They're for sale. I'll link to those down below. Guys, you rock so hard, it is ridiculous.